Hi, this is a video where we'll do the final steps for the architecture internal finishes, where we will assign the finishes that we have made earlier in steps 1 and 2 and assigning them to their relative location areas. So, in order to do that, just we'll go through very quickly on what we have assigned as the schedules for the finishes. So, earlier we've done finishes, internal wall finishes, we've assigned all the new schedules that are as per our project, from CSP up to ESP or SCP, and then from internal ceiling finishes, exactly the same for flooring and skirting. And we've done already earlier the wizard chapter, the miscellaneous doors and windows. So we've got miscellaneous windows that were done earlier and the miscellaneous doors. So now we need to go and work on Architecture Wizard. So you click on Architecture Wizard after you've done all the initial setup for the finishes. You go for Internal Finishes Wizard. Once you click on that, it takes you directly to the window where you need to assign internal spacing or spaces, openings, and finishes. So bear in mind, you have part, the project, and the levels. You need to choose the level that you need to work on. But before that, you need to click on back. That is right over there, back. Because we need to assign first the area deductions and the length deduction. Usually by default, we move on as the only area deduct that is greater than 0.5 square meters and only deduct length that is greater than 0.5 meters. So you click on next and it takes you directly to the internal wall finishes. So internal wall finishes, what exactly do you need to take from your selected items or from your input data and put it under the selected items? So initially we'll just take everything back by clicking on this arrow to the left hand side. And we've already input all these new ones that are as per our project. We need to input them as selected items. So we'll start off the CSP and move downwards and click on this arrow to put them in our selected items. So from reference items to selected items, and one by one you take them to the right hand side, CW2, CW3, EMP, GRP, and finally SCP. Then we move on to the internal ceiling finish. Internal ceiling finishes we've done from CSP, CST up to SCP. Once again, you take each one of them to the right hand side, but before you need to delete these ones or just move them to the left hand side. So in order to do so, you just click on the left hand side arrow. So we'll start off with CSB. You take it to the right hand side by clicking on the arrow and you go one by one until you're done. And once you're done with that, we need to go to the next internal finish. So these are the selected items towards internal ceiling finishes, which are under finishes chapter and under the section of internal ceiling finishes. Next, you click on the drop down arrow and you select internal floor finish. So internal floor finishes, these are the floor finishes that we have input towards the same. Please make sure this is empty, so by clicking the left hand side and choose the ones that are related to your project. So we'll start off with CT1 and once again you go and you click on the right hand side arrow to move them to your selected items. So this needs to be done one by one until you're done and you move on to the final finish, and that would be the skirting. So these are the final selected items towards floor finish. Please select on the arrow and do internal skirting. So internal skirting, these are the default schedules, let me say, that we have defined earlier or we've talked about earlier through the previous videos. From CS1 up to BS, these are the additional ones as per our project. Once again, just empty the stuff under the selected items over there and start dragging all the new elements that we have defined one by one once again. So PS1, PS2, 3, 4, and finally VS. Since we're done, you simply click on next and then next, and it'll take us back to the station. So this was the initial step to define all the finishes that we need to put in this takeoff screen. So assign internal spaces, openings, and finishes. Once again, we've got the part, the levels, the default location height in meters, and the default floor thickness finishing, again in meters. So we'll start off with the part, which is the project itself that we're working on as usual, which is the project. And the level or levels, we usually start from, as an example for today, which is the ground floor. And then we'll move on floor by floor. So once you're done with that, automatically the software will open for you the spaces. Or if not, you can simply click on add new space. Just to give you an example, this first row represents the area itself. Now these are the list of areas that were used earlier, and you type your new one. So as an example for today, we'll be doing the lobby and we're doing a pantry. And the second row represents the door types. And the third row in blue represents the window types that you need to input towards this area. So we'll start off as a start by showing you this example. This would be the schedules that we'll be using for each room name towards their schedule of internal finishes, what type of flooring it has, skirting, wall, and ceiling. And we'll move on to the area itself. So this is our lobby that we'll be using as an example, and this will be the pantry that again we'll be using as an example, just to identify what type of doors and what type of windows is assigned to each of these areas. We will start with lobby 2 here as an example. As we mentioned earlier, the first row represents the location area or the name of the area itself. And these are the space's main finishes. This is for the flooring, skirting, walls, and ceiling. And the spaces or openings data, we need to input the name of the area, for example, pantry, lobby, bedrooms, etc. How many numbers of them? This is to avoid the number of repetitions of each type of areas. And then we need to input the area and the perimeter. The height is taken from the original default data that was initially done at the setup of assigning the project locations. And be aware, we have identified as a default floor thickness finish in meters as 0.1. You can change it as per your own requirements. And H in brackets AFC, this is the height above false ceiling. So if you do have that, you need to mention that as well. And finally, you've got openings and decorative finishes like the jamb, threshold, sill, and cornice, as per the schedules that we have assigned earlier once again. The second row, as I explained briefly earlier, the row here represents the door, whereas the row here in blue represents the windows. So we'll start off with number 1, we'll name it as lobby 2. And then you move in the tab. If you've got more than one number of the same areas, you type it here as in numbers. And then the area, you need to type on the area either through the traditional manual method, or if you've got the areas through the quantity takeoff software, so you can input that. So our area here, as per the drawing, is 29.37 square meters, and the perimeter is 21.3. So we'll type here 21.34 meters. Sometimes the software warns you if the range that you have put in any cell exceeds the range that is there in EasyTender. So it says here parameter cannot be less than 4 times the square root of the area. Check your input data. It will accept whatever number you put. Sometimes this is a good information or notification in case you've done a personal error, so it warns you if there's something wrong. Otherwise, you just click on OK and the number is accepted. And then we've got the height. The height of the lobby 2 that is there in ground floor, it's 3 meters. And then we've got height, and in brackets AFC, this is the height above false ceiling. So in case you do have that, please input the number or the height. In case you don't, just keep it as 0. So the height above false ceiling we have here is 0.4, so I'll just keep it as 0.4. Next, what you need to do is, for lobby 2, you need to input the flooring, skirting, walls, and ceiling. These are the schedules that we have done earlier from the setup itself. So we'll go back to the drawing to double check what the lobby 2 has certain features for the schedules of internal finishes. So lobby 2 will be there. You have lobby 2 waiting, and we'll do an example of pantry, which is there in this row. So we'll start off with lobby 2 waiting. Bear in mind the columns start as flooring, skirting, walls, and ceiling. So for the flooring of lobby 2, it's PT1, skirting is PS1, walls is EMP, and ceiling is GB1. So we'll start off with PT1 PS1 in EasyTender. In flooring, if you click on the drop down arrow, you'll get all the schedules of the flooring that we have put as an initial step. So this explains how or why it is needed to do that, because we will have access to displaying these under flooring column. So PT1, and then for skirting we have PS1, and for walling we had EMP, and for ceiling we have GB1. So this is how you assign the spaces of main finishes for lobby 2. Bear in mind, the second row, as we explained, represents the doors, and the blue row represents the window types. So for lobby 2, we need to assign the door and the window types, and how many of each, as in numbers. So for the door types, we'll use the other drawing as a reference, which is this. Well, for lobby 2, we've got door type 01 and door type T3 and T2, and we've got window types as 06, 2 numbers of them. So as an example, we'll put T3 as 1 number, T2 as 1 number. For windows, we'll put 06, 2 numbers. So we'll go back to EasyTender. This is the door types, bear in mind. So it's T2, we've got 1 number, and T3, 1 number. Every time it opens you another space for doors in case you want to add some. So this reduces the time for adding new rows. In case you don't, you go directly to the windows, which is the blue row, and you click on 06, we've got 2 numbers of them. If you have noticed, once we selected the door type to T3 and T3 and S6 as the window type, it got us directly the area and the perimeter and the height which we have took from the initial step of identifying the door types. So once we're done with that, you click on right click here in anywhere in this window, insert row or insert space, insert door or window in case you want to add more towards this type of area, which is the lobby. In case you're done, you want to display another row, click on insert space. So insert space, this is the green one, insert space, this is the area. So we'll do another area which is pantry. And how many numbers of pantry do you have? And then once again, you need to insert the area and the perimeter. Our area here is 15 square meters, and the perimeter is 11.2. Again, perimeter cannot be less than this notification that we got initially in the lobby 2. Just click on OK, and it will be taken as a number in the cell there. The height, we'll just keep it as 3.4 with no height above ceiling. Next, we need to put the spaces of main finishes for each of these finishes. We go back to the drawing. So this is the pantry that is allocated on the schedules. So we've got pantry, the flooring type is CT3, there is no certain type for skirting. We've got for walls CW3, and finally for ceiling as CSB. We'll go back to EasyTender and we'll assign the same. So we've got CT3, there is nothing for skirting, so you just keep it as it is. For the walls is CW3, and finally it's CSB. We need to look now into the type of doors and windows that are there in the pantry section. We'll go back to the drawing and we'll have a look. This is our pantry. It has door type T4, 1 number, and no windows. We'll go back to EasyTender, we'll put the same. Remember, the blue row represents windows, so in case you want to add a new row for door, you right click anywhere over there. You'll input insert door. The first row is the insert row, the second thing is insert space, and then you have the third option is insert door. So you put that. Because the mouse was placed under this area, so this is why it added another door for under lobby, so be careful, you need to keep the mouse over there and then right click insert door. So the yellow line or the yellow row was added on the pantry. So we'll click on the drop down arrow. We need to choose T4, 1 number. And if you've noticed, once we clicked on T4, directly the details towards T4 was dragged out. We've used so far the two examples as lobby 2 and pantry. In case you want to move on, or let me say, assume that we're done with all the areas that are over there and we assign the space or main finishes to each one of them. The next step would be to move on to the next floor. Now, in order to do so, once you're done, you click on insert and continue, and what happens is it'll take you directly to the floor after that. In case you don't have other floors apart from ground floor, then simply click on insert and finish. So this is the difference between both. Insert and continue will take you directly to the floor that comes after ground floor, or the one that comes after the current floor that you're in right now. Or insert and finish, it means you want to stop working and then you want to display the results, so you're done with your work. Once you do that, you click on insert and finish. Let's assume we want to work on another floor as an example. In case you have identical floors and you wish to continue using the same information, you can also copy and paste that into other floors. Exactly the same concept we've used earlier. You click here on the left hand side and you drag till the end. Once all the cells are selected in orange color, it means that they've been selected. Right click anywhere, and what it says here, save in location or locations, which is at the very bottom here. Save in location or locations. So click on that and it displays for you where exactly would you want to copy these details, into which project or into which level in the project itself. So I'll open the levels under our project, which is named the project, and I wish to copy them to mezzanine 1 and floor 1 as an example. You can do that to anywhere in any of these items. So once you've done that, you click on save data and they'll be saved in the other floors. What we need to do now is insert and continue to move on from ground floor to the next one, which is mezzanine floor. I'll simply click on that. So what has been said here, there's no changes in the current data. Do you wish to continue inserting data? I'll just click on yes. And now we're under mezzanine 1. If you notice, all the details from ground floor has been taken and now it's there in mezzanine 1. If you have any changes, you can do that. If you have something additional to do that, you can also add. Once again, you can click on insert and continue to go to floor 1. So please click on insert to continue. Once more, you click on yes. And it takes you directly. It was mezzanine, it took us to floor 1 of the same project, which is named the project. All the details from ground floor that we have taken as identical is copied to mezzanine and floor 1. In case you want to finish after floor 1 and display the results, we click on insert and finish. So please click on that. It says there are no changes. Once more, you wish to continue, I'll just click on yes. What happens here, the software does a cross-check results. So these are the cross-checks for theoretical total world areas, etc. Since there are no errors, you just click on OK. And once you do that, it'll take us directly to the final station, or let me say the final window for displaying the results. So bear in mind, you need to select the project and the floor you wish to display. And once you do that, the chapter is finishes and internal wall finishes. So whatever items here will be displayed under internal wall finishes. So let's go down and display the items that we have chosen in our project. We've worked on CW 1, 2, and 3. So if you click on any of these, if you have worked on them, it will display for you the results over there. We've worked on CW3, so once you click on that, it shows us all the details under CW3. So CW3 floor 1, you've got the wall area of the pantry. This is the wall area, and the red under quantity is the deduction itself. So what kind of deduction is there? Is for T4. T4 was the door type. So this is the area of the door. It has deducted directly the area of the door. Same for MEP. MEP, this shows the, let me say, the summary of the quantities per schedule. So it's per schedule type, per geographical location of your project. So for MEP, we've got these are the results under MEP. Wall area of the lobby 2. Lobby 2 had an internal finish of MEP as wall finish. And for the wall finishes, these are the areas of deductions that the software has calculated. So initially, the total quantity of the wall area of lobby 2 was 64.02. But then, because of the windows and the doors that we have inputted as the openings, the software has calculated them as deductions. Number 1, it has calculated deduction under skirting, which we have used. 2, for T2 was a door type, so area of the door. T3 was area of the door. S6, we had 2 window types. So if you look at the equation parameters itself, it shows you the equation that how the software calculated area of the windows. And remember, we have put 2 numbers for door or window number 6. So window type S6, we put 2 numbers, and this is why it shows you the equation parameters multiplied by 2. So the sum of the quantity after deductions is this. Exactly the same for the rest of the finishes. So if you wish to display the internal ceiling finishes or floor or skirting, you can do so. So internal ceiling finishes, we've used GB1 and we've used as well GT1. In case you have, it will display for you. Next, you can display the internal floor finishes. Internal floor finishes under floor 1, we've used CT3. So this is for the internal wall finishes. For CT3, it displays for you the floor area of the pantry and the area under the door T4. So this is the cumulative quantity for both of them. Now once you're done, you click on back to main screen, but this is only to show you the breakdowns per floor. Now you can have a better view of these outputs through the reporting system. So we can click on back to main screen. We'll go to the report. You've got more than 10 reporting solutions. So when you click on custom location, this will display for us the outputs per schedule per floor. So bear in mind, the location, you need to do some filtering and configuration of what you need to display in the report itself. So in the project, if you expand the view over there, you can choose which floor to display in the report. So this is the first icon under locations. The second icon is the chapters. Do you wish to display the outputs for both the concrete works that we have worked earlier with the finishes or just the finishes? In order to display separately the outputs for finishes, I'll unclick on the concrete work chapters just to have a clear output report. Click on next. Now here, as we have talked about it earlier, this is regarding the layout of the report, the pages and headers and the numberings. Once you do that, click on view. You'll get the BOQ format for finishes outputs. So bear in mind, this is for all locations. All locations means we have selected all floors to display. If you scroll down, you'll find internal wall finishes. Bear in mind, this is the wall plaster over false ceiling because we have included false ceiling for the lobby too. And the wall finishes, we've included CW3 and MEP. This is a quantity and this is a unit for each. Then you've got internal wall ceilings, or the ceiling finishes. You've got the CSB and GB1, and these are the outputs towards the same. Exactly the same for internal floor finishes. Bear in mind, this is cumulative data for all locations. If you wish to see that breakdown, you could have filtered at the very beginning, or you can choose another reporting solution. You can also save as PDF or export this report as PDF and print. We'll go to another reporting system that can show us per location. So you can click on Summary for Item Location Quantities and many more of these reports. So once we select on Summary for Item per Location Quantities, again you need to filter the chapters. So we'll just unclick on Concrete Works in order just to display the finishes. Click on Next and then View. Once you do that, the heading is Summary of Item or Items Location Quantities for our project, which we have called at the very beginning as test video. So the part, it's all parts at all levels. Bear in mind, you can do the data filtering at the very beginning. So you can filter per project, and then all levels you can filter per floor. So if you wish to display the elements under ground floor only, you can do that. And then you choose the finishes. You can also do all selected sections. You can filter by walls, by ceiling, floors, or skirting. We'll just keep it as all selected sections as a start, and then we'll filter per elements. Once you do that, you need to click on Apply, and directly you'll get the elements only for ground floor level. So you'll get the project, ground floor, and the item description here is a wall plaster over false ceiling. This is the quantity in square meters, and this is the cumulative. If you click on the second page of the report, you'll get the item description for CW3. CW3 in the ground floor, this is the quantity towards the same. Next, this is for EMP. Next page is for CSB, and then for GB1, and so on. So if you wish to filter wall finishes as an example, click on Apply and it'll take us directly to the elements for ground floor, wall plaster over false ceiling. And then if you click on the next page, it takes us to CW3. This is under the internal wall finishes. The next page as EMP for ground floor, and this is the quantity. To filter for the ceiling finishes, click on Ceiling Finishes and then click on Apply, and take us directly to the project, ground floor, item description, CSB. Next page is for GB1. And then if you want to display or filter for the rest of them, you can do the same as well. These are many of the reporting solutions that is there under Reports tab. And one of the other important reports that you might need for internal finishes is under Reports, you've got the item breakdowns. This is extremely important to display the breakdowns of each of the schedules that were used for the internal finishes. Once you click on that, you need to click on the expand icon over there, check all the project, and bear in mind you need to choose the right chapters. So for openings, door, windows, etc., yes, they need to be kept on check. And then concrete work, you need to unclick that. We want to display, or we wish to display the finishes separately. And then the chapter name as finishes, you just keep them all as they are for internal wall, internal ceiling, floor, and skirting, and so on. Once you do that, click on next and then view. So directly you'll get the information, the project, per floor, and per ground floor you have the breakdown for wall plaster over false ceiling and how the equation parameters were used and the total quantity in square meters. Next, under ground floor you'll have the calculation sheet breakdown for CW3. So for CW3 you've got the wall area of the pantry and its breakdown for the doors. So we have displayed or we have seen this breakdown in already the final station of EasyTender, but if you wish to have it in our BOQ format or in a reporting system, so this is the way to check them and to display them. Once again, you have calculation sheet for breakdown for EMP with all the details and deductions. Deduction of the doors T2, T3 and the window S6. So this is the initial quantity with all the deductions that are actually displayed in red for easier visibility. You'll get the total quantity of the deductions. Move on to the next page by clicking on this arrow. You'll find all the details for CSB, this is the ceiling. GB1, this was related to the ceiling as well. CT3 was related to the flooring, and PT1 was related to the flooring. And so on, you can display them per floor. So in order to filter per floor, once again you need to filter the project by filtering all the levels, so you can wish to display floor 1 and then click on apply and you'll get exactly the same process. This is basically the main idea of how we assigned each area in our project relative to its needed schedule for internal finishes in terms of doors, windows, flooring, skirting, walls, and ceilings. Thanks for watching.